Oriented Programming Concept. Unit 1 in class 10th and chapter 1 in class 9th. This one is our unit 1 in class 10th and this one is chapter 1 in class 9th. So before starting class 10th contents, first of all we are going to discuss about, or we are going to revise about all chapters of class 9th. So our first chapter in class 9th is Introduction of Object Oriented Programming Concept, and in class 10th this chapter is shows under a unit 1, which is Introduction of Object Oriented Programming Concept. So in this unit we are going to discuss about languages or language. We are all very familiar about language. Language is one of the important thing, and if we want to communicate with anyone, then we need to use language. If we want to complete our task or whatever we want to done, the language plays very important role in our life, in our daily life, daily routine life, as well as in computer life. If we want to complete our any task in computer, so we all ever need to understand language, that language which is easily understood by us as well as computers. So basically there are two types of languages. The first is low level language and the another is high level language. Low level language are sourced under a machine dependent and high level language sourced under a user dependent languages. Now name itself says a lot of things. If you are trying to understand machine dependent, it means low level language is a type of language which are easily understood by machines, and high level language is those types of languages which are easily understood by users. Low level language also known by binary language. Binary means 0 and 1, and also we all are very familiar about binary languages. And if you are talking about high level language, then it is user dependent language which is easily operated by or easily used by users. Users means you, we, all of us. Now the next thing is that what is high level language? So there are two types of high level languages. The first is procedure oriented language and the another is object oriented language. Basically there are two types of high level language. The first is object oriented language and the another is procedure oriented languages. Now the next thing is that what are the difference between both language and what is procedure as well as what is object oriented language. So there is a procedure oriented language and this one is our object oriented language. If you try to understand about procedure, then it uses variable, functions, statements, conditional operators rather than data values. It means procedure oriented language always use variables, functions, statements and conditional operators rather than data values. This is the definition of procedure oriented language, we can say that. Now the next thing is there are some principles of procedure oriented language. Principle 1, 2 and 3. So what for first principle say, it divides, means procedure oriented language divides their program into small programs which is called functions. Means all the small programs are known by functions in procedure oriented language. And this is the principle of procedure oriented language. What is it? Divides all programs into a small programs, or we can say that big program into a small programs. Now next thing is these functions are share global data. Clear? Means in procedure oriented languages functions share their global data. Now third is data move freely from function to function. Means if you are creating many some functions, function 1, function 2, function 3, because of creating small programs, so these small functions or these small programs which is known by function are share their data from one function to another function. And if you are talking about examples, then Fortran, COBOL, BASIC are the examples of procedure oriented language. So these all are the basic things which we always need to understand of procedure oriented languages. Now next thing is object oriented language. It allows user to split program into a number of segments which is called objects. Object oriented language allows us user to split our program into a number of segments, and these number of segments are known by objects. Clear? Now if you are talking about advantages, so data values are secured. Whatever data values are there, all data values are secured under object oriented languages. Now mishandling of data is protected. This one is a second advantage. And third advantage is error detection and correction become easier, because when we debug our program, then we see there are many errors are there and we all need to correct these errors. So this is very easy to detect error and correct our errors in object oriented programming languages. Now fourth advantage is easier in coding compiler program. Means it is very easy to code our complex programs. If there is any program which is very complex, then this is very easy to code under an object oriented language. Now if you are talking about some examples, then Java, C++, Python are the example of object oriented programming languages. Now in our next lecture, we are going to discuss about principles of object oriented programming languages. Principles are like data abstractions, data encapsulations, polymorphism, and the many more. So there are 4 principles are there under object oriented language, and in our next lecture we are going to discuss about these principles. So thank you.